Admiral Ethan Graves stood alone on the observation deck of Earth's Defense Command. Beyond the glass, thousands of stars glittered in the darkness. Most people saw beauty. Graves saw danger. The message on his tablet was simple. Unidentified fleet detected. Distance, 18,000 light years. Estimated size, unknown. Threat level, unknown. Origin, unknown. The report should have been impossible. Human deep space probes weren't designed to detect objects at such distances. Yet, the probe had transmitted something. Something terrifying. A video. Graves pressed play. The recording began with static. Then a planet appeared. An ordinary world. Blue oceans. Green continents. Cloud-covered skies. Then darkness engulfed it. For several seconds, nothing happened. And then, the planet cracked. Like an egg, the entire world split apart. Billions of tons of rock exploded into space. The transmission ended. The room fell silent. Nobody spoke. Nobody breathed. Finally, a scientist whispered, "My God!" Graves knew exactly what he had just seen. A civilization killer. 3 weeks later, Graves stood before the Galactic Council. Thousands of representatives filled the chamber. The most powerful civilizations in the galaxy were present, and none of them cared. "The threat is real," Graves said. "The fleet is moving toward inhabited space." Laughter spread through the room. The Varel ambassador rose. "Humans exaggerate everything." More laughter. Another delegate stood. "Perhaps your primitive sensors malfunctioned." Even more laughter. Graves clenched his fists. These species had never faced extinction. They had never watched civilizations collapse. They had never endured the brutal history humanity had survived. They didn't understand danger. And because they didn't understand danger, they ignored it. The council voted. The warning was dismissed. Humanity stood alone. The moment Graves returned home, Earth entered emergency preparation. Factories expanded. Shipyards worked nonstop. New warships launched every week. Citizens volunteered by the millions. The galaxy mocked humanity. Again, news networks across alien space broadcast jokes. Humans preparing for imaginary monsters. Earth afraid of shadows. Death worlders panic. Humanity ignored every insult because humans had learned something throughout history. Hope was not a strategy. Preparation was. For months later, the first star system disappeared. Not conquered, not occupied. Gone. Every colony, every station, every city. Destroyed. The Galactic Council panicked. Fleets were dispatched. None returned. Then another system vanished. And another. Soon refugees flooded the galaxy. Entire civilizations began collapsing. Nobody laughed at humanity anymore. The enemy finally appeared. The first images shocked the galaxy. The ships weren't merely large. They were enormous. Moon-sized warships. Thousands of them. Each one covered in black armor. Each one capable of destroying planets. Each one controlled by artificial intelligence millions of years old. The ancient records named them the Silence, a machine civilization from beyond known space. Their purpose was simple: erase life, advance, repeat. For millions of years, no species had stopped them, and now they had arrived. The council called an emergency meeting. This time nobody laughed when Admiral Graves entered. The chamber was silent. Fear had replaced arrogance. Can humanity stop them? Someone asked. Graves answered honestly. No. The room fell into despair. Then he continued, but we can slow them. Shock spread across the chamber. Why would you do that? Another ambassador asked. Graves stared at them. Because the answer was obvious to every human. Because that's what humans do. Humanity never quit. Not when faced with ice ages. Not when faced with plagues. Not when faced with world wars. Not when facing extinction. And certainly not now. The first battle occurred above the world of Arcadia Prime. 5,000 Allied ships faced the enemy. They were annihilated. Then came Earth's first fleet. Only 800 ships. The galaxy expected them to die. Instead, humanity attacked. Directly, aggressively, without fear. Human pilots performed maneuvers every other species considered suicidal. Human marines boarded enemy vessels. Human captains rammed their ships into machine dreadnoughts. The battlefield became chaos. For the first time in millions of years, the silence suffered losses. And for the first time in millions of years, the machines hesitated. The machines were stronger, faster, older, more advanced, but they lacked one thing: imagination. Humans adapted constantly. Every defeat produced new tactics. Every loss created new weapons. Every disaster became a lesson, while the machines followed perfect logic. Humans embraced impossible ideas. And impossible ideas changed everything. Scientists discovered a weakness, a dangerous weakness. If humanity could reach the machine command core, the entire invasion could collapse. The problem? The command core lay inside a fortress larger than a planet. The mission was impossible. Naturally, humans volunteered, thousands of them. The final battle lasted 3 days. Millions died, stars burned, worlds trembled, and in the end, a small human strike team reached the core. They knew they would never return. They activated the device, and the machine network collapsed. Across the galaxy, enemy ships froze. Silent, motionless, defeated. The war was over. Epilogue. Years later, new delegates entered the Galactic Council. Above the entrance stood a monument, a human soldier, a human scientist, a human pilot. Beneath them was a single sentence. When the darkness came, humanity stood where others fell. Nobody laughed at Earth anymore, because the galaxy had learned the truth. Humanity was never the weakest species. Humanity was a species that refused to quit. And sometimes that was more powerful than anything else in the universe. The galaxy celebrated for an entire year. The war was over. The silence had fallen. Civilizations rebuilt their worlds. Refugees returned home, and trade routes reopened. For the first time in decades, people believed the future was safe. But Admiral Ethan Graves could not sleep. Something felt wrong. The silence had crossed millions of light years to reach the galaxy. Why? Machines did not wage wars for glory. Machines did not conquer for power. Machines followed instructions. One question haunted him every night. Who gave him those instructions? 1 year after the war, a human research vessel entered the wreckage of the machine command fortress. Deep inside the ruins, scientists discovered a hidden chamber. At its center floated a perfect black sphere that seemed to absorb light itself. When they activated it, every monitor aboard the ship exploded. Alarms screamed throughout the vessel. Then a message appeared directly inside their minds. A cold, ancient voice whispered, "The prison is broken." The transmission ended, but every scientist felt the same terrible sensation. Something had heard them. Something was awake. Within weeks, strange events spread across the galaxy. Entire colonies reported identical nightmares. Billions dreamed of standing beside a black ocean beneath a dead sky, while gigantic shadows moved beneath the water. Governments dismissed the reports at first, but military officers, scientists, and even children experienced the same visions. Fear spread faster than any disease. Human archaeologists soon uncovered records older than any civilization in existence. The record spoke of an ancient race called the First Ones. Millions of years ago, they ruled countless galaxies. They possessed technology beyond imagination. Yet even they feared something lurking between galaxies. They called it the Void King. Entire galaxies vanished trying to destroy it. Eventually, the First Ones realized the creature could never be killed. Instead, they imprisoned it. Suddenly, the truth became clear. The Silents had never been invaders. They had been jailers. Humanity had accidentally destroyed the prison. Then the first world disappeared. Viridian, a thriving colony planet, vanished without warning. Rescue fleets arrived to find only a giant sphere of darkness where the planet had once existed. As the ships approached, a shadow larger than moons emerged from the blackness. Every vessel disappeared instantly. No debris remained. No signal survived. The Void King had begun feeding. Panic swept across the galaxy. Fleets assembled. Scientists searched desperately for answers. Nothing worked. Weapons failed. Sensors malfunctioned. Even the laws of physics seemed to break down near the creature. For the first time since the machine war, humanity felt true fear. A young scientist named Maya Chun proposed a solution. She argued that the creature could not be destroyed. It had to be imprisoned again. The ancient records reveal how the First Ones had succeeded. Humanity and its allies would build a new prison. It would be larger than any structure ever created. Entire star systems would become components of a gigantic cosmic cage. The galaxy united like never before. Ancient enemies became allies. Rival civilizations shared secrets they had protected for thousands of years. Massive shipyards operated around the clock. Across space, the greatest construction project in history began taking shape. Yet time was running out. Every planet consumed by the Void King made it stronger. Then the creature entered human territory. Every communication system in the galaxy activated simultaneously. Screens flickered to life. A vast darkness appeared, followed by two enormous glowing eyes. Entire worlds lost power. People collapsed in terror. The Void King spoke with a voice that shook minds and souls alike. "I remember your species. Humanity froze. Your ancestors fought beside the First Ones. Silence spread throughout the galaxy. They died screaming. The transmission ended. Hope nearly died with it. Months later, the creature arrived above Earth. Thousands of warships formed defensive lines around humanity's homeworld. Every available vessel joined the battle. Humans knew they could not win. They fought anyway. The sky above Earth burned with fire and destruction. Fleets sacrificed themselves to buy time. Pilots rammed enemy manifestations. Captains refused to retreat. Millions watched from the surface as humanity fought the greatest battle in its history. Far away, the prison neared completion. At last, the containment network activated. Beams of energy stretched across entire star systems, surrounding the Void King. The creature resisted violently, tearing apart planets and fleets. Yet the trap slowly tightened. Then a final problem emerged. Someone had to remain inside the prison to trigger the sealing sequence manually. It was a suicide mission. Thousands volunteered. The final choice fell to Admiral Ethan Graves, the same man who had warned the galaxy years before. He smiled when he heard the news. "I've seen enough wars for one lifetime." Graves boarded the control vessel alone. As the prison closed around the Void King, he activated the final sequence. A brilliant explosion illuminated half the galaxy. Stars trembled. Space itself seemed to bend. Then everything became silent. The Void King vanished. The prison held. The galaxy survived. 50 years later, children studied the story in schools. Monuments honoring Admiral Graves stood on hundreds of worlds. The Galactic Council built a massive memorial bearing a simple inscription: "The galaxy feared the darkness." Humanity walked into it. But deep within the prison between stars, beyond the reach of ordinary space, something moved. Two red eyes slowly opened, and for the first time in 50 years, the Void King smiled.